Hey guys, it's Philip McKernan, and I hope you are all keeping well. I wanted to share a little post. I was one of my highlights of the week every week is actually going to my boys' soccer game, and it's not just me pointing the finger and judging people who are on their cell phones, because quite frankly, I've found myself doing it myself on more than one occasion. And in recent times, I've stopped bringing my cell phone to my boys' game. And I can sit here and justify well, I'd rarely be on it, and I might just check the odd thing or whatever. But the reality is that on occasions I found myself, rather than actually just enjoying my boy playing soccer, I'd be on, checking the internet or getting a message or whatever it happens to be. And I stopped bringing the phone, and I looked around, not this Saturday just gone, but the previous Saturday, and I looked around at one point, and I don't know how many exactly, but there must have been about 9 fathers who were basically removed back from the edge of the pitch, and they were on their cell phones. And again, I'm not sitting here pointing the finger, because as I said at the opening, that I've done this myself, and I probably will find myself not necessarily at soccer, but doing it in places that I don't necessarily need to do. And I just wonder, and I've approached the subject before, and I remember getting a serious backlash because people find it, they get very defensive around it. When you get defensive around something, obviously it's telling you something about yourself that perhaps you just don't want to see. And I just wonder if in 50 years from now, and you play that photograph or you reminded that person, I think 2 things would happen. And I could be completely wrong, but I think 2 things are possible. One is that they probably wouldn't remember it. They weren't even aware of how disconnected they were. And number 2 is that if they could turn back the clock, they probably would give anything to relive that moment again, where they could be fully present. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't take phone calls. I'm not saying that you should never be on a cell phone with your kids around. I think in the world today, I don't think it's even possible. But I started to think about, on a really basic level, what's the result of this? Okay, if it happens ongoingly, then you feel like your kids are growing up and you don't even see them. Well, that's literally the case, because you're not seeing them. And I often think that people who say, "Oh my God, my kids are just growing up at the speed of like they're just growing in front of me, and just life is so fast. And one minute they were this size, and the next minute they were that size." I do wonder how present those individuals are, because I think when you're really engaged with anybody, particularly yourself, I think time not literally, but almost like there's a sense that it feels like it slows down. It feels like you've got more time than perhaps somebody who's living at that very chaotic, frenetic kind of energy in that space. So I think at a very basic level, I think they're just missing out on actually witnessing their sons, in this case, because this is boys soccer, growing up. But I think the other potential damaging piece, and the thing that's probably a lot more sad as I connect with it myself, is that as their kids score a goal, or as their kids take a shot, or as their kids fall over, or as their kids do anything on the pitch, and they look up for that recognition, that validation, they lift their eyes up to see their dad, because kids really need that from, particularly in many cases, their father figure, but equally both parents in different ways. As they lift their eyes up to see if their father is paying attention, if they constantly see their father's eyes buried in a laptop or buried in a phone, they start to get this message that whatever their father is looking at is ultimately more important than them. And I think when that's delivered over and over and over again, I think what it does is it already plays on an already challenged youth, an already challenged humanity, where we are struggling deeply to find our value, deeply to understand our self-worth in this world, and to find a place where we feel that we can deliver value. So it really challenges us with this piece of being worthy in any aspect of life, which in turn later in life plays havoc with our ability to grow businesses, to make money, to make an impact, to have great relationships, because often we're brought up believing that, at some level, we don't deserve it. And I'm not suggesting that this is all down to fathers and their cell phones, okay? So don't freak out over this. It's just one element. And nor am I sitting here just pointing the finger, because as I said, I found myself doing this, and I probably will continue to find myself doing this in the future. But it's something that just became so evident as I've really worked hard and to some extent let go of using my cell phone as much as I had done previously. You start to kind of notice it more and more and more. So anyway, just something to think about. Might be very obvious, but I think sometimes the simplest messages and reminders are sometimes the ones that are most important. Thank you.